Mahatma Gandhi is globally revered as a symbol of nonviolence and moral courage. He's known for leading India's independence movement through peaceful civil disobedience and is considered a paragon of ethical leadership. Despite being cherished and beloved by many, even the most revered historical figures had complex personal lives behind their public image. In this video, we'll explore some lesser-known details about Gandhi's relationships and sexuality. Before we begin, we want to clarify our aim is not to diminish Gandhi's immense positive impact, but we aim to present a more multi-dimensional portrait of who he was as a person. Facts vs. History presents weird secrets that Gandhi hid about his sex life. Gandhi's rise. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was born in 1869 to a Hindu merchant family in coastal Gujarat. As a child, he absorbed moral lessons and the spiritual worldview of his mother and region, while his father served as a chief minister in local courts operated by the British Raj. This early exposure to both deep ethical questions and contrasts between power structures no doubt shaped his path. After training as a barrister in London, Gandhi slowly transformed into a spiritual leader through exposure to faith texts, philosophers, and activists of conscience. But it was in leading South Africa's small Indian immigrant community against racial discrimination laws that he pioneered techniques of nonviolent protest and civil disobedience. Returning to India in 1915, he lived simply while advocating for social reform causes like eliminating untouchability and expanding women's rights. But it was through leading the decades-long struggle for independence from Britain that he became revered worldwide as Mahatma. His policy of satyagraha, non-cooperation, boycotts, and principled defiance, alongside peaceful marches and protests, inspired generations. Few historical lives seem so purely consistent, yet Gandhi was exceptionally complex behind his saintly media image. Gandhi's complex marriage and views on sexuality. Gandhi married Kasturba Mukherjee in 1883 through an arranged child marriage, which was traditional at the time. Both just teenagers, they consummated the marriage, and Kasturba soon became pregnant, giving birth to Gandhi's first son at age 15. The young couple went on to have 4 sons together over the next decade. They shared beds, had a normal physical relationship, and Kasturba was focused on raising their children and serving her husband. However, in 1906, when Gandhi took his vow of brahmacharya at age 38, he suddenly regarded all forms of sex, even within marriage, as antithetical to spiritual progress. He now preached that Indians should abstain from marital relations, which he had engaged in frequently for over 2 decades himself. Gandhi advised couples to sleep in separate beds, avoid private time together, and take cold showers when aroused. He continued requiring Kasturba to serve him devotedly despite his new stance. When she fell severely ill while imprisoned with Gandhi for their activism, he callously denied her penicillin, contributing to her untimely death. He showed little grief over losing his wife of over 60 years, using the occasion to teach about detachment from loved ones. Many were shocked by this emotional distance after decades of marriage. India's first Prime Minister Nehru, himself from a prominent political family, observed privately that Gandhi's radical preaching about abstinence represented a, quote, abnormal and unnatural intrusion into the private marital relations of millions of Indians who revered him. Gandhi's close friendship with Sarala Devi. In 1919, despite his own long marriage to Kasturba, Gandhi developed an extremely close and passionate, but purportedly non-sexual, friendship with Sarala Devi Chaudharani, a leader in the Indian independence movement. Sarala Devi was part of the influential Tagore family and was married to a much older man, who was frequently imprisoned for his own activism. Far younger than her husband, Sarala Devi was an accomplished feminist poet based in Lahore. She was known for her beauty, intellect, and boldness in speaking against British rule. Gandhi and Sarala Devi were completely enchanted and besotted with each other upon meeting in 1919. He declared that in her company, quote, even dirt and darkness shine. When Gandhi returned to Gujarat, they exchanged emotional letters about longing and separation that implied a deeper chemistry despite both having spouses at home. Their close companions warned them that people were starting to talk about their obvious closeness. Ultimately, a mutual friend intervened and told Gandhi he must devote himself fully to the freedom struggle and cut ties with the married Sarala Devi. Gandhi agreed and ended the close friendship. Gandhi's controversial celibacy experiments. In his later years, he became preoccupied, even obsessed with celibacy. He believed conquering sexual desire was essential to leading a spiritually pure life, which would give him energy for India's independence movement. Starting around 1947, when Gandhi was age 77, he shocked associates by sleeping naked alongside much younger women to quote-unquote test his celibate restraint. This included his grandniece Manu Gandhi, as well as Abba Gandhi, who was the 19-year-old wife of his grandnephew Kanu Gandhi. Gandhi believed calmly sleeping nude beside attractive teenagers without arousal proved he had achieved control over carnal passions. If he failed to restrain himself, Gandhi felt it would prove spiritual impurity, which he somehow connected to partition and devastating riots gripping India. He believes such violence resulted from his own sexual impurities, only curable through these experiments. Manu became a frequent naked bedmate until Gandhi's assassination less than 2 years later. His family tried hiding his inappropriate relationship that modern viewers unanimously regard as abusive exploitation. Nehru and others saw this behavior as the unhinged eccentricity of an aging man who felt he was personally responsible for all of India's problems. But Gandhi stubbornly reacted by accusing critics of trying to weaken his spirit. Criticism of his views on race. In 1903, while living in South Africa, a young Gandhi infamously wrote that white people should be the predominating race there, calling black Africans troublesome, very dirty, and claiming they, quote, live like animals. While Gandhi gradually rejected such overt racism over his life, this has damaged his legacy across Africa today. Statues honoring him have been removed in Ghana and Malawi amid protests and the hashtag Gandhi must fall. Critics argue that while his work later inspired civil rights campaigns, his early racist attitudes still make him unworthy of honor. Gandhi's views on modern medicine. Gandhi had a disdain for physical comforts and a desire to live a simple, ascetic life. He frequently criticized modern medicine. He preferred traditional Ayurvedic remedies, homeopathy, and naturopathic cures. He particularly distrusted the growing pharmaceutical industry and surgery-based treatments. When he contracted malaria, he refused quinine treatment, instead trying cow urine, which he called the divine medicine. For appendicitis, he drank bicarbonate of soda solutions rather than surgery. While a proponent of celibacy, Gandhi opposed artificial birth control methods, equating them to filth. His deep skepticism of Western medicine, including life-saving antibiotics and vaccines, has been criticized for setting a poor public health example in India that persists today. Now it's time to hear from you. Which of these facts was the most surprising to hear? Let us know in the comments section below.